Hi everyone, welcome back. This is week 45 of my social isolation get ready with me's. This week I have a new palette. I kind of hemmed and hawed over picking this one up because, as I keep saying, who's really using makeup this year? And it went in and out of my cart for a while. Finally, I decided to just go ahead and get it, and it is the Too Faced Light My Fire palette. One of the reasons I was interested in picking up this palette is because Too Faced really doesn't do reds. Really? Like, there's been a few palettes where they've had some reds and oranges. Not even a red, I don't think. Probably just oranges. And I've been like, oh, that's interesting. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, that's fairly unique for Too Faced. And I mean, I've been talking about how obsessed I am with their mini palettes, so I snapped it up. And somebody told me that it smells like cinnamon hearts. Yeah, okay, a little bit. Before we move on, though, I have to show you my adorable shirt. My friend picked this up for me for my birthday, and it is just the best thing. Just a girl who loves raccoons. And I mean, look at his little face. Oh, so bloody cute. It is freaking warm in this room, which is kind of funny because it's actually quite cold outside, which has me very excited. January in Toronto anyway has been quite mild, like generally above freezing. But we finally dropped to, what was it? Probably -10, -7 in the last few days. Which people always think I'm bullshitting that I like the snow and I like the cold. I love it, okay? I can't get enough of it. I went for a walk when it was like, I don't know, -10. Feels like -15 with the wind chill. And you know that feeling when your thighs start to tingle a little bit from the cold? It's like this bitey sensation. I love that. I was so happy to be outside during that. I was very excited. I had somebody leave a comment on one of my videos. I don't know which one it was. Saying like, oh, does Canada use Celsius? And I don't know where they were from, so they could have been from a country that uses Celsius, or maybe they're from the US, and they use Fahrenheit. But for those of you out there who use Fahrenheit, there's not that many of you. Most countries use Celsius and, well, like kilometers for distance and stuff like that. The US is a pretty oddball one in that sense that they use miles in Fahrenheit. Like, that's not what most of the world uses. So I'm curious if that person was actually from the US or was from another country that does use Celsius. I'm surprised to find out that Canada does use it as opposed to like following along with what the US does. But yeah, Canada is all about the Celsius numbers. So for this week, I think I want to kind of do a bit of a halo eye with this. So against my better judgment, but it has looked good on other people, I'm going to start with the yellow here, which is called, ew, Cheese Whiz. Oh, what? What is with the names on here? Okay, first of all, this palette is called Light My Fire. There's a cute little matchbook on the front cover, and I was thinking, you know, like fire themes, because they're red. So this one's called Cheese Whiz. Someone please tell me how that fits into the fire theme. This one is called Cheese Louise. And then there's one up here called Munchies. Was this supposed to be like a cheese-themed palette and then they just forgot to change the shade names? That's freaking bizarre. Okay, anyway, I'm putting Cheese Whiz through my crease. Fun fact, I do not like practically all cheese-flavored products. Nacho Doritos, nope. Any kind of Cheese Whiz or fake cheese stuff, I am not about that life. Like, seriously, do not put it anywhere near me. I think it's revolting. Cheese in general, I'm not a huge fan of. I tend to like more of the milder stuff like brie or mozzarella. I do like some goat cheese, but I'm pretty bland in my cheese taste, really. So last week, I didn't really get to talk about anything because I was so focused on all the old makeup that I was using. So I neglected to mention that, hooray, Trump is out of office. How freaking nice is that? I also didn't really touch on all the shit that happened in the US. Like, it's just something new every day, isn't it? Like, I'm laughing because what else am I going to do, cry? I don't live in the US. It doesn't impact me nearly as much as if I did live there. But holy smokes, guys, are you okay down there? I've seen people making that sort of joke about the US before, and people being like, no, we're not okay. Please come save us. But Biden's in there. Hopefully he's going to change a lot of that stupid shit that Trump's done. It's so funny, too. I don't follow the Twitter account of the U.S. president, but I used to just check in every now and then because Trump's usually spouting something crazy. And when the new president takes over, I guess they delete the entire Twitter account, like all of the tweets in there, and start fresh, which breath of fresh air, right? But it's so funny looking at what Biden is saying versus what Trump said, and it's just like, yeah, you can tell that somebody's not an egotistical, narcissistic bastard in office anymore. Not, which isn't to say that politicians are flawless and that there's nothing wrong with Biden. I'm sure there are issues behind the scenes there, but in terms of outwards appearances, Biden is not nearly as insane as Trump is. This is me hunting through my brushes trying to find a clean one. There aren't many. Okay, to put through my lower crease, I'm going to take Cheese Louise, which is this orange shade here, and then just layer that below the yellow. In amazing news at work, let me give some backstory first. So we've been short-staffed about a year and a half. We regularly operate with 4 people on my team, and we dropped down to 3 about a year and a half ago, and then we dropped down to 2 5 or 6 months ago, and it's been hellish, frankly. I don't know how else to say that nicely. It's been absolute utter chaos. It's been severely unpleasant with this much workload. At 3 people it was manageable, but with the 2 it's like I dread going to work, and I have never been somebody who's ever felt like that before. Like, I don't have a lot of problems with working every day, which I know a lot of people do. They just like, oh, I'm wasting my life away kind of thing. I don't feel like that. With the amount of work that we've had, I've just been like, I don't want to show up to work. I don't want to do anything. It's been really miserable, to be honest. And we've been begging for them to hire somebody new, but because of COVID, there's been a lockdown on hiring. And it's very selective, and it's very difficult to get a role approved for hiring, even if somebody has left for another job. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we finally got approval to hire somebody new, and I am so excited. Just having something off of my plate is going to be so freaking nice. And I don't like training people because it takes forever, but in the long run, it'll be worth it. Because right now it's completely unmanageable. So I'm very much looking forward to having somebody new as a colleague on my team. I wonder how long that process will take. Like, they want to expedite it, but still, like, even between like interviewing people for the first round, second round, getting them started and like hired on the job, it'll probably be about a month or 2 before we get somebody in. But like, we've been kind of saying, I don't think that there's any chance at all that we're going back to the office in 2021. Like, I just don't think it's a thing. And I read something the other day that said that Canada is nowhere near being on track to get all the vaccinations out by September, and that we're looking at more like mid-2022. And let me tell you, that took the wind out of my sails. I was just like, at least with September, I was looking forward to like getting back on track with exercise, like, you know, like just feeling better about doing stuff that is not inside my condo. But realizing that I might be looking at another year and a half of being here without, you know, access to everything that I had before, I was just like, why? But I'm in a very fortunate position to have a job where I can work from home, and I'm not really struggling for money in that respect, so I can't complain too much, but god damn, I want my real life back. Okay, sorry, what am I doing here? So I am taking Old Flame, which is this red. I'm still using the same brush that I had the orange on, and I'm going to put that on the outer corner and the inner corner, and I'm going to leave a gap in the middle because that's where I want to put the brighter shade for the halo eye. I was supposed to go over to my friend Julie's for my birthday, which was like 2 weeks ago now, and we had to cancel it because Toronto, whatever, went back into lockdown, and I was just like, you know, it doesn't feel, even if we're being super safe, like I'm not seeing anybody, she's not seeing anybody, neither of our significant others are seeing anybody at all. I just wanted to make sure that I was following the rules as put out by the province, because, like, you know, I gripe all the time about people who are not following the rules. So it's not right for me to break it, even though I would think I was being safe. So, yeah, I had to cancel that. She had a whole plan to make nachos for my birthday. It just didn't happen. trying to think about what else is kind of going on that's remotely interesting. We've been saving for a kitchen renovation for probably about 1.5 years now. Just trying to get the funds up to get the kitchen redone, because we bought this condo 3.5 years ago, and it hadn't really been updated since it was created in the 80s, and the kitchen just looks a little bit dated. So we've been saving money for that. We're nowhere near getting that done, but that's something to look forward to in the future, you know? And even if we did have the money right now, would I really want to have construction workers in the condo doing stuff? Like, no, absolutely not. So saving for that for a few years out from now. I've started making like tiny changes around the condo just to like, I don't know, do something that's somewhat interesting, because again, not going anywhere. So in very exciting news, we bought a new duvet and duvet cover. I know, riveting. And a new shower curtain. I tell you what though, it's the little things that get me super excited right now, because I was like, yeah, I can't wait to go to sleep with the new duvet cover. Oh, what has my life become? Okay, so that's interesting. I'm curious how this is going to come out. I'm going to wet my brush though. Let me find a flat brush here. Just got a flat Sephora collection brush, and I'm going to take my MAC Fix Plus, and I just absolutely soaked that. And I'm going to put the brush into Fired Up, which is the shimmery orange here, and I'm going to put that on the center of my eye. The reason I'm wetting my brush is because I stuck my finger in the shadow before and it seemed really like flaky glittery, and I'm like, that's not going to work well with a dry brush. So I'm going to put that in the middle and then try to disperse it outwards. Ooh, that is pretty. I gotta tell you, the cinnamon scent on this is not very strong. It's there, but it's not as like pungent as like the Sweet Peach palette is, or any of their other palettes for that matter. For anybody curious about Nemo, my cat who we discovered has kidney disease, he is doing well. My husband the other day was actually able to do the subcutaneous fluids by himself, which took me by surprise. I was in the middle of playing WoW and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm in a timed mythic run. I can't go right now. And he came back, I don't know, in like 10 minutes. He's like, oh, all done. And I'm like, what? How? So that was fairly impressive. Quite pleased about that actually, because it's not a pleasant process putting a needle in your cat to give him fluids, but I was impressed that he was able to do it by himself. Okay, that is really pretty. Okay, to finish off the eyes, there is like no brow bone highlight shade in this palette for me. That one over here, that is way too dark. So I'm gonna dig for my Wet n Wild Brulee single. I bought this thing for like 99 cents in the US, I don't know, 8 years ago. I love this thing to pieces. It's just so handy having it as a single. And I'm gonna put that up here. Okay, I don't really want to do winged liner because I think it'll take away from the effect of the halo eye. So I'm going to do liquid liner, but I'm going to keep it just to like the very edge of my lashes because I'm going to be adding false lashes. And of course, Physicians Formula Eye Booster. Okay, liner is on. Let's do the rest of the face and then we'll come back to the eyes. All right, going back to a shade that I know matches me. Only making that comment because last week's foundation was way too pale. I'm using the Inglot Beautifier Tinted Cream. This is in the shade 103. I'm gonna be filming a haul after this, but it's funny just looking at the stuff that's in the haul. It's literally like sweatpants and workout DVDs. My running isn't cutting it lately, and I've been trying to do like stairs in the building, but that's not always that interesting. So I'm hoping to go back and start doing some more workout DVDs. I really, really just miss weightlifting. I don't know, for me, when I was doing weightlifting, like it was good, it was a great exercise, and it was definitely changing my body and making it more muscular, which I enjoyed. But you don't realize how much it's doing for you until you stop doing it for like 10 months now. And it's just like, wow, that had a massive effect on how I feel about myself, and just my overall strength in general. So not having done it now for quite a few months, I I miss it so bad. Okay, for bronzer, what did I pull out? The Quo matte bronzer in the shade Light Tan. Aside from playing WoW, I've started playing Final Fantasy VII, the remake. My husband picked it up for me for my birthday, and it was one of those things I was like, how did I forget about this game? I used to be obsessed with Final Fantasy. I don't love how the gameplay has gone since... Man, which one was it? The one that started with lightning. I didn't like how it went more action-oriented as opposed to RPG. So I was a little bit skeptical about how Final Fantasy VII was going to be redone, but it's action RPG, but it's done well enough that I'm okay with it, but I still really miss the old style of like Final Fantasy VI, or I guess that would have been 3 in North America, and like Final Fantasy X. Like that game is just one of the best ever. I miss like RPGs like that, but they don't really seem to make them anymore, and it makes me kind of sad. Anyway, I'm really enjoying 7. It's wild seeing all these updated graphics for that game, because like the original version from, was it 95 or 97? It's just like when polygons were introduced into video games, it was like, whoa, that is so cool. And looking at the comparison now, it's like, my God, the technology has advanced so much. Okay, for blush, I'm going to be using something new by Quo. This is their... Oh, I thought it was a blush. It's a bronzing powder. Okay, well, I used another bronzer by Quo. Okay, let's change this up. Okay. A bit of a boo-boo there. I totally thought this was a blush because I have another blush from them in the same packaging that looks identical to this. Anyway, guess I'm using something else. This is the Quo Featherweight Cream Blush, and this is in the shade Heavenly. Squeezed a little bit onto my hand before, and it's quite liquidy, so I think I gotta be kind of gentle with this. So I'll put a little bit on the back of my hand. That is way too much. Way too much. And I'm going to take this dual fiber brush by e.l.f., which I think is on its last legs because the ferrule is starting to like come up a little bit. Anyway, this is a small stipple brush. I'm going to take a little bit of product and then see how this goes. Okay, it's blending out nicely. I was really worried because that's a lot of pigmentation. I was worried that it was going to like overtake my cheek really, but it's going on nicely. I think that was too much though. It's okay, just whenever you get too much blush, yeah, looking in the viewfinder now I'm like, woo, just take your beauty blender, sponge or whatever and stipple over top. And then for highlighter, I'm using this thing, but I really don't think it's gonna work that well. I've had it sitting in my like to try out pile for quite a while since my friend Julie decluttered it. And it's the MAC Star Trek collection. What is this? Trip the Light Fantastic Powder in the shade Luna Luster. Now it looks super freaking cool in the pan, right? But when I swatched it with my finger, not much was really coming off. So I don't really know how this is gonna go. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a stiffer brush, try to really get in there. Is that an overspray? Oh, there's like a glitter overspray. Let's see. I don't think that did anything. Okay, there we go. I'm getting a little bit. I'm not positive this is worth keeping though. Nice to try out, but like, it's not amazing. It's more of a subtle glow, if anything. I just feel like I have to grab so much product to get anything to show up. Well, now I know why Julie got rid of it. That doesn't do anything at all, really. Not enough to entertain me anyway. So that is gonna go up in my declutter pile for sure. Okay, so for eyes, I'm gonna do basically sort of the same thing up here, down here. I'm gonna start with a pencil though, because I want my waterline to sort of match the halo effect. So this is the Marc Jacobs Highliner Gel Crayon in the shade Fine Wine. Love this thing to pieces, the dark red. And I'm going to put it on the outside edge of my eye and then on the inside as well. And I'm gonna leave a gap for like a more orangey type in the center. Just getting that between my lashes too. And I'm taking Old Flame on a tiny brush and just smudging that there. And I'm gonna leave that blank spot in the middle for now, but I'm gonna go again in with, oh, geez Louise, the orange on a pencil brush. Tap that off and then layer that just underneath the red, but like the whole way. So I still got that gap in the middle, but I'm trying to emulate the top part up here. And then for the very edge, I'm going to take that original yellow and just wrap that around down here. I'm not going to bring it all the way across because I think that's going to be too much, but I want it to somewhat connect here. Okay, now to take Fired Up, that shimmery lid color, and put that on the center of the lower lash line. What am I doing? This brush is not going to cut it for that. I grabbed a much smaller brush. This makes a lot more sense. And just to even up the lower lash line, what am I going to use? Am I going to use the yellow or the orange? I'm going to take the yellow. Try that first. And put that on the middle. Okay, for the inner corner of the eye, I think I'm going to try this. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm going to take Sparks Fly over here and put that on the inner corner. Oh yeah, this is a crusty shadow. Like, I'm getting like no payoff on the brush. I'd have to wet again, but let me try it dry. That's good enough. I just want a slight hint of sparkle. I don't want too much color. And since that's kind of a darker shade, I don't want too much of that paying off. If I did use this on the lid, I definitely want to use it wet though, because I'm not getting much color off on this brush. Okay, I'm going to apply mascara, false lashes, do my brows, and then I'll come back and we'll finish up with the lips. Okay, so for lips, I kind of want to stick with the orange theme, but I'm worried about overdoing it, so we're going to see how this is going to go. I'm going to take the Bite Beauty, what are you actually called? Outburst Longwear Lip Stain in the shade Orange Fizz. So this is pretty bright, but I'm going to try to put a little bit on and then sort of blot it out. That is not the same color of orange at all. Okay, so I got a little bit on. Take my finger. Even now that's turning into way too much color. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna take some Bioderma on a cotton round and sort of try to move some of that color. It stains, so it's gonna leave a color behind, but that's kind of what I want. Okay, there we go. And then on top of that, what I want to do is take a gloss. So I'm taking the Essence Shine 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 Wet Look Lip Gloss. It's just a plain gloss. But I'm going to put some, because this is clear, and if I mix this with this, it's going to end up this color. So I'm going to put some on the back of my hand, and then just dab that onto my lips. Okay, that's a little bit closer to what I was going for. I probably could have chosen an orange that was a little bit more orange. This is coming across more pink than I thought. But it's funny because looking at it, like, look at the color difference. This looks so much more orange. Odd. So that is the look for week 45. Hard to believe that we're coming up to week 52 soon. So a little bit about this palette. I really enjoyed it. I'm impressed that the colors are actually like quite vibrant. This is probably one of the brightest looks that I've been able to produce with any of Too Faced eyeshadow palettes. So I like that it's something different. I will say though that the two shimmer shades, which it's nice that there's only two in this palette. I'm really appreciative of the fact that there's so many mattes. The two shimmer shades are quite flaky and they don't really get a lot of pigment off on your dry brush. So if you are going to use them and you want like full color impact, definitely use a wet brush. Like use something like Fix Plus to wet your brush, but or at least that's what I did, but you can definitely use water too. Same effect really. And I like how they ended up looking, But yeah, if you, like, even if I just try to like stick my finger in it, oh, that's got other junk on it from my finger, from my lips rather. Let me see, if I just take it on my other finger, like, you see what I mean? Like, it's shimmery, but there's not a lot of color payoff from it. So that's just something to keep in mind about these shadows. Anyway, I do really like it. I think it's enjoyable. I had no problems with the mattes. They're quite pigmented. And I think these are great, fun little palettes. I kind of love just collecting them right now. That being said, I'm not picking up all of the ones that they're launching because I think they've realized that people are really enjoying these palettes and they started to pump out all kinds of them. There's a few of them that are out right now that I'm just like, not my style. Like, there's one called like Kitty Likes to Scratch, which awful name. And I think there was another one that was kind of like retro-esque theme. Anyway, I really like them, but I'm not going to be grabbing all of them. This one definitely made my day, though. I'm so happy to see Reds by Too Faced. Okay, anyway, I'm rambling on enough. Thank you so much for joining me for week 45, and hopefully I'll see you for week 46 next week. Take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you next time. Bye.